Good morning, Mariners Church. This is Pastor Paul. I hope you're having a terrific day. One of the things that we want to maintain in our church is to keep us always aware of the purposes that God has for us as a church, but also for each of us in our lives. And one of those purposes is worship. Worship is not just what takes place on a Sunday morning, it is actually our whole lives as we give them to God. One of the things that helps me continue in my focus on God every day, day after day, is just simply what we would call sometimes a quiet time. A quiet time is personal worship, and what we're going to be doing this week, each staff member is going to give you just a little glimpse into our private quiet times, what we do in order to maintain, I would say, a closeness with God, which helps us not only in our ministry, but obviously helps us in our attitudes and the way we treat other people, and helps us our whole life. Just a way to kind of touch base with God. What I do generally is I will spend time, first of all, reading the Bible. It just gets my mind centered, my heart centered. Sometimes I will listen to a song. I've got Spotify, and so I can listen to that either on my phone or on my computer. But this morning, I'm just going to be reading from some scripture, and then I'm talking a little bit about how I pray and what I do in prayer, and just hopes that it would help you. When I read the Bible, I actually I read it through sequentially for the most part, meaning one book at a time, and I just move right on to the next book. It just does work for me. Right now, I'm reading in the book of John. And actually, I was kind of hoping that my scripture reading would coincide with Easter. I'm a little bit behind that, but I'm at the place in John 19 in which they're nailing Jesus to the cross. Now the Bible I read is actually an old Bible that I have. I got this in believe it in high school or middle school, and I've marked it up quite well, and I just like it. I like the font. It's big enough for me to read now that I'm older, but I'm just familiar with it enough. And I just read because I want God to speak to me. This is not my study time. This is a reading for God to speak. And it says in, this is John 19, it says, they took charge of Jesus. He went out carrying his own cross and came to the place of the skull, as it is called. In Hebrew, it's called Golgotha. There they nailed him to the cross, and they also nailed two other men to crosses, one on each side with Jesus between them. Pilate wrote a notice and put it on the cross, Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews. This is what he wrote. After the soldiers had nailed Jesus to the cross, they took his clothes and divided them into 4 parts, one part for each soldier. They also took the robe, which was made of one piece of woven cloth, without any seams in it. The soldiers said to each other, let's not tear it. Let's throw dice to see who will get it. This happened to make the scriptures come true. Now, reading that, it's just the facts of what happened to Jesus as he was being nailed to the cross, which is moving in and of itself as we've gone through Good Friday and Easter Sunday. This reminds me all over again of the sacrifice that he made and he did for me, and so that has a tremendous impact just to affirm his love for me. But as I was reading, I focused, I saw that how they gambled and they took his clothes. They cast lots for his clothes and his robe. And I began to think, I don't know if you've ever done this, maybe I think about a high dive board, once you're at the very edge and you jump, or I've done some cliff jumping into the river before. And once you're at the top, and once you make that first leap, there's no turning back. In this case, Jesus, when he was nailed to the cross, it struck me that as they gambled for his clothes were gone. Obviously, his decision before God the Father to go through with this was already sealed and already made. But the reality of once they took his clothes, he had nothing left. That was it. I mean, all his earthly possessions were gone. He was committed to stay on that cross. He had nothing to come down to, and every reason actually to stay up on the cross, which would be for us. And right now, my heart's filled. I'm thinking, wow, the great truth of that. Then what I will do is I have actually this is my prayer list that I have here. It's got the days of the week on it, or most of the days of the week, and it's got categories of family and friends and ministry and leaders and leaders meaning the government and those in the world. I also have evangelism. I'll pray for an area each day, a different area in the world, and for missions. I'll pray for around the world in the persecuted church. I pray for our city. I pray for our state. I pray for my friends from kind of my past. I pray for those of you even here in the church. If you were to look at this list, your name's on it. I recommend you get a prayer list like this. Again, different names for different days. I always pray for my family, and then I'll spend time praying. I will just take time to pray and to get my heart settled before God after reading His Word, and then take time to pray and really focus on what I'm saying to God and how I'm saying it. Anyway, that's what I do. It's important that we maintain and keep these, I just call them habits. It makes me feel better. It just gets my life centered and it gets me aligned for my day. Hey, God bless you guys. Thank you. And we'll be talking to you soon. I miss you so much. Bye-bye.